Didn't see you there. Hello. Welcome to this 3-part build series about this here jazz bass. I hope you enjoy. In part 1, which you're about to see, of course, we're going to be focusing on this roasted alder body from Warmoth Guitars. We're going to be finishing this wonderful piece of wood with some wood filler, perhaps some boiled linseed oil, and maybe even some polyurethane. You'll just have to see. Well, either way, I hope you enjoy. See you in the next one. I think it's at 150 grit. That's the last step of finishing that they do at the Warmoth factory before they ship it out. We're going to take that surface finish and we're going to improve it, make it smoother with this 400 grit sandpaper. The next step is going to be filling in all the pores of the wood with this water-based wood filler. That's going to allow your polyurethane to sit a lot smoother on the surface of the guitar and get a much neater finish. What I'm going to get is a small plastic container to mix my wood filler up. Here's my wood filler, and I'm also going to need a glass of water to mix in with the wood filler to water it down a little bit so that it's easier to paint onto the surface of the guitar. After sanding, your guitar is going to have all of this dust all over it, so I like to take my brush beforehand and just dust every surface of the guitar and get all the pores cleaned out so that the wood filler really goes in. Now we can move on to mixing the wood filler into here. Let's take our plastic container, dump, I don't know, that much in there, maybe a little bit more. Don't want to run out. Dump some water in. Been about 5 minutes, so I'm going to take this paintbrush now and just paint the top surface of the guitar, and then once the top surface is dry, then I can flip it over. This wood filler is going to do two things. It's going to fill all of the pits in the surface of the wood and bring it to the same level, and it's also going to make a pretty cool effect, sort of like a mottled effect with dark and light spots. Done with the first coat. It's put a little bit of a cloudy film over the whole guitar, which is what you want. Just wait about 15 to 20 minutes for this to totally dry. Put your brush in some water, or just better yet, wash it out. And you're also going to want to keep the rest of your wood filler covered. I just have a bowl sitting on the top of this to keep the air out so it doesn't dry. After about an hour, all of the wood filler has dried onto the surface of the wood, and we can go back and sand it so it's all smooth. so I just finished sanding this with 400 grit sandpaper. Got it really nice and consistent, and the wood filler did a great job of filling all the pores of this wood. The first order of business here is going to be taking my shop vac and turning it on the blow setting, sort of like an air compressor, and just blasting this with as much air as I can to get all of the dust off. And that's going to be very important because I don't want to get any dust particles inside of my finish because they'll stick out. I've got this old flannel here made out of cotton that I'm going to cut up and use as a rag to apply my finish. This is a perfect material because it's more lint free than a paper towel would be. Here's what we're going to be using. I'm going to take this rag, surgical gloves here, just to make things easier between coats. Okay.
It does smell good.
Yeah. So far, I'm a huge fan of this.
Yeah, bro, it looks amazing.
When they are just 4 years old, boys in the East Indian Alps of Switzerland, the little blonde boys with the blue eyes are forced with boiled linseed oil massage the backs of Esh guitars so that they can be shipped into the globalized world. They must toil day and night.
Oh man, that looks so cool. If you wanted to have sex with a finish, this would be the finish that you would want to have sex with.
That concludes the first coat of the boiled linseed oil on this guitar. I'm going to let this dry for about an hour, and then I'm going to come back and apply a second coat. Alright, it's the next morning. The finish has completely dried. So now we are ready to apply our first coat of this polyurethane. It's very similar to the way that I applied the boiled linseed oil. We're just going to get some of that flannel that I chopped up last night and cut some squares out and just wipe it on. So I'm reading the back of this container here and it says, "Do not shake." I'm assuming that is because you don't want the air bubbles to build up in here. So what we're gonna do is pour this out into a smaller container so that I can dip inside, and also so I can mix it by hand and not get as many air bubbles. I have that container that I used for the wood filler. I'm gonna go rinse this out so that I can pour in my polyurethane. I just washed this out, no more wood filler in here, and I also stuck it in the microwave for 30 seconds to get all the water off. Well, it is apparently not clear. I don't know what that means, but
That's the way it looked for me when I put it on my guitar. It was that milky color.
really? Okay. I like to take the edges of my rag and fold them inwards because the edges of the rag have a bunch of lint attached to them when they were cut. That makes it so that you don't get all these little hairs all over your guitar.
Does polyurethane just mean there's a lot of urethanes? It's like multiple urethanes. You get to wear protection?
Yeah, you're not standing right next to it.
You think it's really that bad?
It says prolonged inhalation of the fumes can lead to permanent brain and nervous system damage.
Okay, I'm not gonna that dude. I put it on a nice lock, okay?
Okay.
Brain and nervous system damage? Jesus Christ. Brain and nervous system damage? Hey.
Here is my polyurethane, which I just covered with a bowl to keep it from drying out. It's still really runny, which tells me that I can still use it for the next coat. Finished coat number 2. It's gonna dry for probably another hour, similar to coat number 1. It's drying ridiculously fast because of the heat wave here in California. It's probably about 115 degrees outside, and I'm inside of a garage, so all the heat just gets trapped in here. I just left out my rags flat, spaced away from each other, just straight on the concrete slab of my garage. And this is really important because you don't want to just crumple those up and throw them into your trash can because they'll spontaneously combust. I must say, you look particularly spectacular this morning. What is it you've been doing these last few weeks? Have you been going to the gym, perhaps? Whatever it is, it's working. Would you like some coffee? No? Alright. I see you're keeping a slim profile. Anyways, that concludes part 1. So if you're interested in part 2, you might as well just click on that. Get it over with. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Yeah.